Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. I've made a pretty cool wagon for my little boy, and I want to show you how I made it. So let's start with the build, then I'll show you more footage in action at the end of the video. Let's go. Alright, so to make this project you will need a wagon kit and some plywood. And these three pieces of plywood will make the floor and the sides of our truck. I start with the sides. I take my pencil and I design some fenders. I do the same thing for both pieces. And using my jigsaw, I cut out those wood pieces. Now that we have our both sides, I glue and I nail a strip of plywood on each of them. This will allow me to join the floor to the sides. Basically, the sides will sit on the floor, so I'm only using wood glue and brad nails to hold everything together. I secure everything with my clamps so the bond is stronger than the wood itself. And once the glue is dry, I repeat the same process on the other side. And now that the main frame is assembled, we still need to make the hood and the tailgate. Starting with the back, I cut out what will be the tailgate. Then, using some wood glue and brad nails, I secure it to the back of my truck. Now let's put the hood. The first piece that I put is the top plywood, and it is a simple rectangle. The next one though have both edges cut at 45 degrees and fit perfectly in place. These two plywood pieces that I glue inside will add some sturdiness to the whole body and will also be the armrest when the seat will be in place. Alright, time for the headlights. I put 4 headlights on my truck wagon, and to do so, I will cut out the center of these 4 little pieces of plywood. These will act as washers so I can put my LED light on the inside, and I will put a clear Lexan sheet over it to protect them against the element. And for that, I'm using my blade runner that is basically a jigsaw. So now that I have all my pieces, I can go ahead and glue them together to make one big piece. It will be easier to put it on my truck. So the fit is perfect, but before I glue anything in place, I need to install some LED lights. You can stick those LEDs directly on the plywood, but I've decided to use some hot glue to make sure it holds in place. And because you can cut LED strip every 3 LEDs, I'm going to use 3 LEDs per headlight. Once the glue is dry, I can put it in place, and I'm completing the front with another plywood. And because I want to add some hooks on the front of my wagon truck, I make those holes before I glue the plank in place. And before we go too far, I turn it upside down. I want to make some holes to accommodate some special thread insert. I'm going to put these inserts on the inside of the truck, and this is how I will bolt the wheels under the cart. I'll show you a bit later in this video. Time to make the windshield. The windshield is a Lexan sheet that I put between 2 plywood pieces. I cut out the center of those plywood pieces to make a frame. I also cut the Lexan sheet to fit inside that frame. And because I want my Lexan sheet to sit flush inside both plywood, I use my router to groove the inside edge on one piece. As you can see, it makes a pretty clean look. I mark and I drill some holes to install the windshield, but I won't screw it in place right now. I will paint everything first. I move to the back where I still need to install the backlights. And like I did with the headlights, I have cut 2 small plywood pieces to fit the LED strip inside. Again, using hot glue, I glue both strips in place. The tailgate is really simple, a piece of plywood and 2 hinges. My wagon truck won't have functioning doors. I will have needed to make the design completely different, but I make a groove on each side to pretend so. And while I'm using the router, I pass it all around to remove all the sharp edge on my wagon. We still need to make the seat, but for now, I have the piece of plywood on the inside on each side to later mount the seat on it. Here's a quick look around of the wagon, all assembled, sanded, and ready to paint. For the paint, I'm using an outdoor acrylic paint that I found in the mismatched section at my local hardware store, and it was super cheap. And at first, I wanted to go with some black paint, but that dark charcoal do the job very well. I will paint and install the windshield and the tailgate later, but for now, I had a second coat. To make the seat, I will need 2 plywood planks. But for the back seat, I need to make a frame because I want it to be adjustable. I will later cover those planks with a cushion, but for now I assemble the back seat frame. It's a simple frame made of plywood strip, and I drilled 2 holes on each bottom side to fix it to the wagon body. A quick paint on it and I move to the cushion. Last year we've changed our sofa and I decided to keep the inside cushion for a later project, so today it doesn't cost anything for my cushion. I simply cut it to the size of my plywood plank, then I put some fabric on it. To make sure the fabric is tight on the cushion, I had some weight on my plywood, then I used my stapler to hold the fabric in place. When I released the weight, the cushion stretched inside the fabric. I then used some metal L bracket to hold the back seat to the back seat frame. Alright, time to install it in the wagon. For the lower seat, I simply use L bracket. For the back seat though, it will be adjustable, so I use 2 bolts that I insert into the holes I previously drilled. That will allow me to adjust the angle of the seat, but to hold it in place, I need to install a barrel bolt lock. Next, I screwed the tailgate in place with a barrel lock, and I also realized I forgot to paint a second coat on it. Now, the power supply. I decided to go with a DeWalt adapter since I have many laying around, but you could use any power bank. I just need to connect all the wire together, then screw the adapter in place. Remember the holes we drilled earlier into the floor? Now it's time to tap those thread insert in place. Flush and clean mount. I make a quick check to see if all the electronics works correctly. I nail the tailgate handle and then I move to the backlights cover. They are Lexan pieces that I glue in place using super glue. And because you can see the super glue through the Lexan sheet, I put a frosty vinyl on both lights. Alright, we're almost done. Let's turn it around and finish the front. I start with the hooks that I have painted in red, then I install the bumper. And like I did with the backlights, I put a Lexan cover on each light. For the grille, it's a simply cut out of a milk crate, and I really like the result. Now the windshield, I insert my Lexan sheet between my 2 plywood and I put it in place. It's now the time to install the wheels. Those are from a wagon kit that I bought on Amazon. It came with all the hardware and the handle. I simply bolt them into the threaded insert we installed earlier. One last thing before we take it out for a test. I install a safety belt, 2 handles, and I complete with a cup holder. Make sure you carefully read the manufacturer's warning label on your wagon kit. And now, let's go test that wagon in the trail.